Hey guys, so congratulations, I'm down on the mats for today. I'm going to do my very best to be able to demonstrate as much as I can in this playlist as possible, despite the fact that I'm, of course, still dealing with the torn meniscus, so not everything's going to be working quite as cleanly as I want. Now, the subject of this playlist is going to be mat mobility. And when I talk about mat mobility, and this is something that I see, when I'm going through Watch Fighters or I watch your guys' matches that you guys send me from time to time, which, you're welcome to do as much as you want to. I'll do my best to try to answer your guys' questions as best as I can. But when we are talking about mat mobility, it's the whole point of it is, I want to be able to maintain my distance or close space between me and my opponent at all times. So it's the same thing as when you are boxing or doing any other fight style. The first thing that they really, really want you to learn is how to control your distance. But when we are on the ground, if we're doing a submission wrestling style or something along those lines, we oftentimes want to keep as close of contact with our opponent as we possibly can, especially if we're on the top. And if we think about what we are trying to do when we are taking a top control position, and I've said this phrase many times before, is that we want pressure, connection, and we want to be rooted into the floor. And what that does is it means that if I'm on top of you, when I am getting my connection, so that we can stay connected, so that I can move along with you. If then my pressure is to help kind of pin you to the mats, but I don't want to try to squeeze you and try to hold you to the mats when I get that top control position too much, right? Because I actually want you to move and use your energy so you get worn out. And also, the more I tend to over pressure on you and over squeeze you and whatnot, the more likely it is that I'm going to get rolled, and then there's going to be a reversal or something like that. And so there's my root into the floor, which means that I am not able to be picked up easily from that position. There's my connection. If I'm talking about a side control position, it's going to be like my reach around to the opposite side armpit, getting that chin pressure, from my shoulder to their chin, to kind of hold them in position. And that's going to be my connection. My pressure is going to be on their near side chest to try to hold that chest in one position. And this is kind of a key point when we are talking about mat mobility, is that when we move on the mats, we need to control how many points of contact in the mats that we have. So when we are going through all these different techniques in this playlist, I want you guys to be paying attention to what are my points of contact, right? So if I am doing a shrimp, and we'll get to this in more detail in another video, but if I am, a lot of times with newbies, when I see them doing stripping drills, they're very lazy about getting all the way on their side, and they're like, why am I not moving down the mats? And that's because I've got too much connection with the mats. If I am bridging, for example, I am trying to make my hips mobile, is the whole point of a bridge, really, if you think about it. So when I bridge, you see that my hips get way off the ground, and I've got a tripod here. I don't need a full tripod, by the way, right? And in fact, when we're doing a side control escape to try to pull guard, then we're going to have just that one point of contact, boom, so that we can move into that shrimp from that bridge. And we'll get into that in just a moment. But it's shoulder and a foot usually when it comes to a bridge. And they're usually, with a bridge, there's going to be 3 points of contact, right? So 2 feet and the shoulder. But if I'm doing that guard escape, that side control escape to guard, right? Where's my tripod? Well, I'm driving into my opponent. My opponent is the tripod, right? He's the third point in that tripod that's allowing me to be stable, right? And it's not just for escaping when we're talking about mat mobility, it's also for attacking. So if I am playing guard, for example, most of my attacks from guard require some level of mobility. Now, you might argue that that's not always the case. Like if I'm going to be doing like a guillotine choke, well, it depends on the guillotine. If it's a arm in guillotine, well, then I need to be able to get onto my side and I need to be able to move my body to do that. So it is totally applicable there. But then when we were talking about a no arm guillotine, right? So I'm gonna have to sit up to get you. Well, basically I'm putting all my weight on my hips and maybe a little bit on my feet so that I can actually sit up so that I can start to get that guillotine. If I need to get higher to get around the head, right, I'm going to post so I can get my hips up in the air. So really, I would say if you don't have somebody to drill with right now and you want to improve, learning how to be mobile on the mats is going to be probably the most important skill for you to develop in order to advance your game a lot faster. You just are becoming a slippery fuck. So let's go ahead and get into that into more detail.